came and I presented to them, and they had expressed interest in getting involved in the Square Kilometre project because of its size and the potential of it. And I said, that's wonderful. You know, that's great, thank you for your support, but you guys have the highest mountain in Africa. It's an excellent site for millimeter astronomy. And then they asked that question. They said, well, I thought they were just going to tell me, no, it's impossible, we don't do that. And they said, yes, we're interested. So then I emailed a few friends, and one guy promised us a telescope the next day. There was that much excitement about the possibility of building on a 4,000 plus meter site in southern Africa. And it's because they want to be able to take an image of the black hole at the center of our galaxy. They want ultra high resolution. They do that by linking telescopes. So if you have a telescope here in, say, Australia, and you have another one at Hartrail where I work in South Africa, and we observe the same source at the same time, you can match the data, put the data together, and you can create an image. And then it acts like a telescope that has a 10,000 kilometer diameter to it. That's how it works. Okay, so it's called an interferometer, very long baseline interferometry. And that's the idea. So I presented this crazy idea, I thought was crazy. And fortunately for me, Dr. Mashinda said, no, we're quite interested. I'd be interested, please find out what we can. And lucky for me as well, our good friend Jiwaji has asked to join the project, and since then we've been busy working on this thing. But what's problematic with this project is the world has no money. Because in 2009, we also remember that the financial disaster occurred. And as a result of that, a lot of the science budgets around the world were shrunk substantially. And so now we have to find new ways to generate and to get money for science projects such as a Kilimanjaro telescope, a millimeter telescope like that. And so, but the key to it is, and this is what I presented in 2010, just to be clear, we never asked for money, we're not looking for that kind of money. What we wanted to do is we said we have to make the site science ready. Science ready means we've tested it, we believe it's an excellent site, and the government supports the idea of having a telescope there. That is science ready. After which, the astronomers have to be able to raise funds to build the telescope. Okay? And then, as I said to you, 2008 happened, and this kind of a project would not be able to get the kind of funding it would have got, say, 3 or 4 years before. So, the telescope that I was promised, by the way, there was a promised telescope, it was worth about $20 million US. It got sent to Greenland. So eventually they said, well, you're taking too long, Gordon. And they sent it to Greenland. And that happened. So that's where we are. And today we've now come up with a slightly different way of looking at this thing. Effectively, we're talking astrotourism, but it's not astrotourism. It's actually tourism. Okay? But I'll come to that. So let me go on to this. So this basically is the economics of science as I know it. And as I said, I did a business degree, that helped me a little bit, but all of this I had to invent from scratch while working at the Department of Science and Technology. Because I spent a month talking science, and then all of my bosses said, Gordon, we have no idea what you're talking about, none of us are astronomers. They had employed me into the department so that I could tell them if the astronomers were lying to them. So I was employed not to talk about astronomy, was to tell the minister that the astronomers are telling you BS. So I was their BS detector. So I got employed purely because I could actually understand what the astronomers were saying and what part of it was real or not real. Anyways, so if you look at this economic model, the science project is the project. Say the millimeter telescope on top of Kilimanjaro. The government sets at the very peak. You have to think of this as a pyramid, with these as the 4 legs, and then the pyramid is the top, so the government sits atop. And the government sets policy. So governments will set policy, and what you do when you set the policy is you try to optimize these 4 pillars that create money. So you have prestige, that's the science. We detect a black hole at the center of the universe, someone wins a Nobel Prize, I get a small piece of cake, Jiwaji gets a small piece of cake. That's our benefit. That's what we get given for helping them. Because some scientist in Europe win a Nobel Prize, we get a piece of cake and probably stay. That's it. That's life. Okay? That's prestige. Okay? So So we do interesting science, we do stuff like that. If we build a telescope on the highest mountain in the world, or it's the highest observatory in the world, that's prestige. We can now brag that we have the highest observatory in the world. And if we were to build a telescope atop Molenzi Peak at 5150, that would be 30 meters higher than any other observatory in the world. So we could brag. So we could say we have the highest observatory in the world. These are examples, okay? I'm not saying we're going to do. Human capital development is a little different. That one's the easy part. That's student bursaries. That's, in your schools programs, teaching people about astronomy and science and things like that. And then, of course, from that you also get engineering and technology, which overlaps with the technology sector down here. A telescope, a radio telescope, and I'll try to keep speaking slowly. I'm sorry, I speak very fast. A radio telescope is literally cutting-edge engineering on steroids. So, for example, the Wi-Fi system that most people use, it was created by 2 radio astronomers. So they realized how they do signal processing could be, released into a room, and we could let our computers communicate to one another. And now cell phones. That's the Wi-Fi we use today. That came from 2 radio astronomers. Your camera, the camera I'm sitting back here is a digital camera. It has a CCD chip in it that came from optical astronomy. Astronomy, make no mistake of it, is engineering on steroids. Electronics, electrical, mechanical, material sciences, ICT, computer programming, and so on. The Square Kilometer Array, its real advantage is not the prestige, which everybody thinks it is. Everybody believes the SK will be the largest radio telescope in the world, the most powerful, the most sensitive. That is not its advantage. That's important, yes, because we've optimized that. They're producing lots of students out of it. Yes, that's wonderful. There's a huge amount of technology. But the Square Kilometer Array's real power is in economic activity around it. And the real power of the Square Kilometer Array for South Africa, they have to build the world's largest and fastest supercomputer. So South Africa will host the world's fastest supercomputer in the next 10 years. Not China, not America, not Europe. South Africa will host the world's fastest supercomputer. So the value, the economic, the power of the Square Kilometer Array project is here, and it's in the form of the supercomputer and the cloud, the data storage, because the SKA will produce 200 terabytes a second of data. So if you imagine, this computer probably has a hard disk of half a terabyte. And that telescope is going to produce 200 terabytes a second. So it's going to produce 400 of those a second in data that has to be processed by a computer system in Cape Town. And before it gets to Cape Town, it's traveling. That's a pipe, a fiber optic pipe of 200 terabytes a second. So it has to be processed at the telescope, processed as in the fiber, processed in the computer, and then stored somewhere. And that storage system will be so large that South Africa will become the leader in the world in cloud computing. So make no mistake, South Africa did not invest in astronomy. It invested in computer technology. So South Africa, the government of South Africa, the Treasury Department recognized it's like the lottery. We're going to invest 2 billion rand, so $200 million, to build a precursor telescope in the hopes that we get to host a $5 billion project which would have the world's fastest supercomputer. So a science project, that's the real value to South Africa and Southern Africa, because it will affect all the partner countries as well. And that is why COSTECH asked to get involved in the SK project, because they also saw the opportunity of potential computer programming and stuff like this. There's lots of opportunities. And the technology was the other thing. But as I said, these are the 4 legs that you stand on in a science project. A telescope if you go to a telescope on top of Kilimanjaro, then you could have the prestige of having the world's highest observatory. That's cool. It doesn't feed anybody, right? No food, but it does feed the mind. So it will encourage young kids to go into science and technology, and then we'll have much more educated taxi drivers, which is the concern in South Africa. My job in South Africa was to produce more educated taxi drivers because they were so freaking crazy that they would kill you on the road. Anyways, But so the idea is all of these things are wonderful, but you need to feed people. You need to come up with real money. And if you can't build, you can't get the money, you can't build. So for the Millimeter project on Kilimanjaro, this became an important factor to me. And we had to figure out what would drive it, and we'll come to it. So, but if we're talking millimeter, why? Eyesight anyways. I got a laser pointer. I want to stand somewhere so I'm not in everybody's way. So you have these little observatory. This one's in Japan. This is the one I did my PhD on in the USA. I'm Canadian, by the way, so it's okay. You can offend me. I don't mind being called American. I have cousins on both sides of the border. So this is the USA. This is the best radio telescope in the world. Okay, I did 13 hours observing and did my PhD on that. This is Chile. Look at all the telescopes in Chile. Look at them. There's something like $20 billion invested in this site in Chile alone. $20 billion. And it costs around $500 to $1 billion a